Are you going to be calling an early election? And if so, when should Canadians expect to go to the polls?
Well, they certainly should expect to go to the polls before November.
Well, I don't often do videos on Saturdays, but it's not every day that mind-blowing data releases. So this is the most recent poll of the upcoming likely Canadian election that's going to be called anytime soon now, with Mark Carney just being sworn in as the new prime minister, the head of the Liberal Party. So we now have a situation that this is red alert for the Conservative Party, and to be fair, for the NDP as well, as both appear to be just tanking while the Liberals are surging to insane levels. So this is from EKOS Research. As they write here, Liberals surged to between 42 and 49 points as progressive voters rally behind Carney. Now, I'll get to why there's two numbers here and the differences there in a bit, but take a look at this line. The Liberals were clearly set to be destroyed by the Conservative Party back in December. And just a few months later now, they are set to form a majority government. So they went from losing to the Conservatives, who were going to almost certainly form a majority government, to now themselves in position to form a majority government, sitting at 49%, while the Conservatives tank to just over 30%, and the NDP are under 10%. Now, before I get deeper into this data and show you demographics and some other points around that, I want to show you a poll from the last election. Because of how crazy this looks, I think it's important to back up EKOS Research and showcase to you that this is not some random pollster, but in fact, they do have a track record. So this was their last poll before the last election. So September 19th, 2021. The election was the next day. So this is the results there. And they write here they want to be evaluated on their likely voter model, not the national result model, but both are very similar. But so this is their poll. 32.5% for the Liberals. Again, this is back September 19th, 2021. This is the result. 32.6%. So the Liberals received 32.6% of the vote on election day, and EKOS Research predicted 32.6 in their national result, but they said they want to be judged by their likely voter model, so they were off by 1 point, or 0.1 here, and they were off by on the Conservative point, so they predicted 28.4. Conservatives ended up getting 33.7%. Now, the difference here is that the PPC vote, the People's Party of Canada, which is a far-right party, half of their vote collapsed and went to the Conservatives. So that's really the main difference here, because the other parties are pretty close to what the projection is. But you can see PPC ended up getting 5%, not the 9% that was predicted. And a lot of that went to the Conservatives. So EKOS Research, just to show you that, yes, this is a reputable pollster. They're often very accurate, and there is no reason to doubt their numbers so far. And they were also one of the early ones to showcase that the Liberals were gaining post-Trudeau stepping down and post-Trump inauguration. Now, a little deeper into this data here. So as they write, it would likely produce a Liberal majority. Now, the 42 to 49 points, this is the difference here. So they have two different methods of polling, one through phone, the other online through Probit, which is their probability-based panel. Now, there's a difference here, but regardless of the difference, Liberals have gained incredibly from where they were, facing a no chance of forming any government, to where they are now in a position to form a majority government. And also, to be clear, way up from where they were in the last election. And in the last election, they were able to form a minority government. So breaking this down even further, this is vote by region. This is wild. Alberta. Liberals are leading in Alberta. Now, to be clear, they themselves say that they did not see this result in their online polling model. So in that model, the Conservatives are still leading in Alberta, but through their phone sample, Liberals are leading. Regardless, the fact that it's even this close is wild. Now, it's worth noting Mark Carney is going to run for a seat in Alberta. Maybe that has a potential to boost his support there. Who knows? But you just see across the board here, Liberals are running away with it, which is also why I believe that they're going to call an election very shortly here. Not just because it's the right thing to do, because Carney just came in as prime minister through a leadership race and hasn't actually received any votes yet, but also because the momentum carrying them into an election. This is the right time for them as a party to call it if they want to capture this momentum into a victory. Now, it's also worth showing the overall 338 model, so I'll link to this below the video as well under sources. But you can see there, this takes the averages of all polls, and you can see how the Liberals have been gaining ever since Trudeau announced his resignation and Trump was inaugurated. So, yeah, this is really good news, clearly, for Mark Carney and the Liberal Party. And you can owe almost all of this to Donald Trump, because it has taken the conversation off of cost of living, cost of housing, affordability, and has put it all on the relationship with the US and what Donald Trump is doing. And people, for good reason, see Pierre Poilievre, who, has fans like Elon Musk, and don't believe that Poilievre is the right guy to defend Canada right now, while voters, because of the binary way that they think in these elections, because of first past the post, we can go back. I don't get into a big discussion about, the whole voting system and how ridiculous it is. But voters tend to think either conservative or liberal. So because they see Pierre Poilievre not being the right guy for the moment, they are moving back to the Liberal Party. If the NDP had stronger leadership, were able to make some gains over the past few years, it's possible they'd be in that position right now. But I think a lot of Canadians sort of want some stability, something that is more familiar. And because of that, there's less of a feeling of or desire to take a risk on the NDP, a party that hasn't, formed a federal government. So they're just going to go back to the Liberals, and that's where we are right now. Will this trend continue? What are your thoughts below? And what are your thoughts on this whole thing? Your thoughts on Mark Carney and how the Liberals are looking right now?